Laura, are we going to go by that one?
Yeah, everyone's here.
All right, at this time, we're going to call to order the meeting of January 23rd, 2024. It is 6 o'clock. We're going to start by doing a roll call. We're going to go around the room, and I'm going to ask that all members present introduce themselves, speaking into the microphone. Jane, can we start with you?
I'm Jane Camp.
Laura Powell.
I'm Elizabeth Jones.
Faye Brassey.
Mark Hammis.
Okay, looks like we have everybody here, and next we're going to allow the city staff to introduce themselves.
I'm Laura Wilson, Code Administrator.
Chris Bailey, Assistant City Administrator.
Logan Probst, City Administrator.
Thank you. Okay, next we have an approval of the agenda. Has everyone here had a chance to review the agenda? Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion and ask after the motion that all members show their approval with a raise of the hand and a vocalization into the microphone. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as submitted?
I make a motion.
Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, that motion is carried. Next, we'll have an approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of December 2023? Do we have any changes or corrections to the minutes of December 2023?
No, I didn't see it.
No? Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion and ask that all members show approval with a raise of the hand and a vocalization into the microphone, just like we did the agenda. Do we have a motion?
I so moved.
A motion to approve? Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion is carried. Doesn't look like we have any old business today. We've got new business. The first one here, we have request for COA demolition and site development, 140 South Broad Street.
Yes. So 140 South Broad Street is in the Monroe Commercial Historic District. Now, if you remember, this is the second time this has come up. It was previously approved in May of 2022, and simply their approval ran out, so they are here again to get the project reapproved. There's not very many changes, I don't think, from the approval last time, but basically they would like to demolish the existing structure at 140 South Broad, which is the current hair braiding place, previously a Domino's, historically where the Troy Theater was. And this is the building that they would like to replace it with. It's a 3-story mixed use, commercial on the bottom, residential on top. They're also planning to redo the parking lot in the back, which I think we're all happy about as well, anybody who's tried to park back there. So they are going to be sort of mimicking the look of downtown, keeping the storefront along the bottom here, kind of mimicking this. They have a nod to the historic theater by calling it the Troy. Previously, it was approved for 3 stories. They are asking for 3 stories again. The existing buildings next to them are about 22, 23 feet. They're asking for 40 feet in height, which is allowed by code. And this project also conforms with the master plan for the city and for downtown, kind of conceptually what we're looking for downtown. And I'll let Wes answer any questions and explain it further.
Thanks, Laura. You did a great job.
Question before.
Yes.
Wasn't it approved with 35 feet though before?
So the limit of the approval of 35 feet last time was a code restriction. That ordinance has changed since then. It is now a story restriction. I think it's 5 stories in the CBD, and they are only asking for 3.
I'm not understanding what you're saying.
So instead of limiting the number of feet in height, the code changed to the number of stories requested in a project. So like a 5-story building versus a 3-story building, Yes.
Okay.
So just like Laura said, it is almost identical to what it was before. When we did bring it before, we did have a couple of color variations, the 2 and 3 story options, but it was approved for either or, the 2 or 3. We opted, as long with talking with numerous people through the city, that it was just best suited to go with a 3 story. It falls in line. I'm not sure the exact height of the hotel, the old hotel, across the street or diagonally across the street, but we think it'll be very similar in height to that. So we think it'll be, complement that corner there very nicely. And the only changes, that we have placed on this is originally there were only 4 balconies on that left side going down Washington Street, and we did add 1 to each unit. So now you've got 8 balconies there. And we did, as Laura mentioned, we have named it, it's not set in stone, the Troy, like I said, from the historic nature, in the 40s, I think to the mid to late 60s, it was the site of the Troy Theater until it burned. So we thought it would be kind of cool to bring that and name the actual building the Troy. So yeah, that's it. Commercial on the ground floor with residential space above, 5 units on each floor, so a total of 10 units, and then a commercial space on the first for 3,000 square feet. So
Thank you, Wes. Does anyone on the panel have questions?
No, just sitting here looking at it, it just looks so tall compared to the others beside it.
well, it is. I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, it's definitely because the ones beside it are roughly 1 story. I think those do have high ceilings inside. So I think Laura said they're roughly 22 feet, and then we're going up to 40 with the parapet.
But you got to want a 5-foot parapet on top of the 42, right?
No, ma'am. It's 35 foot to the roof line, then 5-foot parapet makes it 40 foot total.
Yes.
You mean the whole thing's 40 feet?
Yes. Yeah, it shows it right there on the diagram there. It shows the 35-foot roof line on the right side with the 5-foot parapet makes it a total of 40.
35 is so 40.
Correct.
I thought you wanted a 5-foot addition to the 40.
No, ma'am.
feet.
It'll be total of 40.
Okay.
Faye, did you have any more
It's
questions?
tall.
It is tall.
I mean, it is really tall. It's like several of me stacked on top. And I'm not sure that's the scale next to it, because when I look at it, the building next to it's a story and maybe a half. If that's 22 feet,
Ms. Fay?
is that
I
what you're
can-
saying?
It is to scale. That was specific, that drawing that's on there was
to
specifically
scale.
requested by Brad to be drawn to scale, so it
Okay.
is to scale.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura. Mark, did you have any questions? Faye, did you have any more questions?
No, it's just so big.
I think it'll be a great compliment to downtown. Like I said, we're trying to keep with the nature of the historic, obviously with the new construction. And like I said, the height definitely, it will be tall on that corner, but, allow for more residential sites and, in the downtown corridor.
Did either of y'all have any more questions?
I'm just interested in the height of the similar building. Do we know that?
The hotel,
Or where the Tribune is?
do we know where the old hotel height?
It's over 30 feet.
Okay.
It's what?
It's over 30 feet tall.
Because that's what that reminds me of.
Yeah, and I think it's very, very close. I don't know the exact either, and I couldn't find it. I looked, but I couldn't find any recorded documents or anything that stated the actual height of it, so.
I also think it's worth to note that the Troy Theater was tall as well, so.
I don't remember it being tall. I went to it. Do you all remember it? I don't-
I've got some pictures here. Our historian, Steve Brown, he's got some pictures here. It was pretty tall.
Gosh. Oh, that facade thing
did have
was,
height to it.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that front facade, yeah. Burning. Are
there other buildings, and I'm just not thinking off the top of my head how the downtown looks right now, but are there other buildings that tall in the downtown area?
The hotel is probably the most similar in height. But I mean, if you go down, across, I guess above where the bakery is, where Lisa Reynolds' buildings used to be, those buildings are probably 3-story, aren't they? You got the downtown floor, and then, they're pretty high. I don't know exactly the height of those, but
I don't think they're 3, but they do have high ceilings.
yeah. Well, but I would say, the hotel is definitely most similar in downtown.
If we don't have any more questions here on the panel, then I'm going to ask the folks here if they have any questions. Do y'all have any more questions up here?
I have one note from staff, just a little bit of background on when we rewrote the code that would allow the stories rather than the feet. One thing we were looking at was the elevations in accordance to the courthouse, right? That's the epicenter of what we were looking at. And so if you come down the street a little bit, you drop an elevation a few feet. And so this building will actually sit slightly lower in profile than the hotel across the street, which is closest to the hotel. So you're losing a little bit of that height.
Okay, thank you for explaining that, and that really, I think, would make it merge well with the historic fabric.
But on that, I see what you're saying, on the total grade of it.
Do we have any questions out here? No? Anybody? Okay. Well, then, at this time, I'm going to ask if we have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We don't know what is the motion to approve. State the motion to approve as,
To build the 3-story building?
I thought we'd already approved that last time. What do we,
Basically, we're just coming back just because it had expired.
okay.
So basically, it's demo and the approval of the
Yeah.
replacement.
The demolition and site development as presented.
Yes. I make a motion to approve for demolition and building on-site as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, and then the motion carries.
Thank you so much.
You're approved.
Appreciate it.
Okay, then next up, we've got a request for COA carport, fence, and ramp, 400 East Church Street.
Yes. So, welcome back, Mr. Bradley. Yes, here we are at 400 East Church Street, and they are requesting a carport, fence, and ramp. So this is an overall diagram here of the request showing where the carport is going to be, kind of where the ramp is, and then the red outline is the fence. They have chosen a bit of a Gothic inspiration for their carport. And then this is what the fence looks like that they're requesting. It's a black aluminum fence that we see frequently in town. It will meet up with a privacy fence that they would like to put in their backyard. And then over here, it's kind of hard to see, but there will be a gate right here next to the house, a wooden gate. And then they are asking for a ramp be built off the existing back deck of the house. I would like to compliment the applicant on their application. If they were all this clear, I think it would make the board's commission job pretty easy. So,
Very thorough, thank you.
Do we have any questions from the panel? We're looking at this?
A porta share, not a carport. Very good looking.
It's a
It is
worker
very
share.
good.
Very, very good looking.
But the inspiration of the carport share was from a similar house, a huge house in Grant Park. And because I looked everywhere to find somewhere we could see,
Gable.
compared. And I, that one is so good,
Laura, would you go back to the picture of it, please?
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you going to do it just like the picture?
Yes, pretty much there is on the example, in the top right has a cupola on
Right.
the top. This will not have that.
Right.
Because I don't have a
Gable in the
similar.
front, yeah.
Yeah, but it will, very, very similar, otherwise, and of course, the way.
No flat roof.
No. In fact, I didn't want to have, almost be nice to have a huge
Gable.
gable, but of course, I don't want to have that high a
Right.
gable on top of the portico share. So I do we're going to do the dormers, so we have a little bit of the attractive gable ending.
I think it's very attractive.
Very nice
Very well
looking.
done.
Very nice looking.
You're mimicking up here in
Exactly.
your house,
Right.
in there. that
Yeah,
gable.
that's what, it repeats that,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Do we have any more questions or comments? No? Do we have any questions from out here? No? Okay. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the drawing that Chuck has brought before us with the portico share. I think he's done a fantastic job. And I
And the
make a
ramp.
motion- And the ramp. Make a motion that we approve
Now,
this project.
second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And we didn't add the fence though, but the fence too.
Well, and the privacy fence and the metal fence added to my motion.
All right, just to clarify, Faye, then can I get you to repeat your,
I second it.
okay, perfect. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you so much. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The third item on our agenda is in the Monroe and Walton Mills Historic District, 112 West Fifth Street. They are requesting a fence, a privacy fence. And here is a picture of what the fence will look like. It's a standard wooden privacy fence, 6 feet tall. And the yellow lines on the photo are approximately where they would like to put the fence. The red line is an existing privacy fence on their neighbor's side that they will meet up with right there. And then here and here, they are proposing a wooden gate. So, At the,
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to tell us a little more about it?
Well, right now, that's where we're gonna put it, but later on, we're gonna try to put it all around. That's all,
This is not all around?
it's just gonna be, we gotta,
their property actually extends back here. They have an existing shed right now, and it extends back here.
Okay.
Oh, okay. But not in front of the house though, so that's
no, just right there where we,
in the back.
put a gate, yeah, right there in the back, ma'am.
Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions around here?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, sorry.
Okay.
The fence.
Can I get a second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Thank y'all so much.
thank you so much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yep, you're all set. All right, next item on our agenda is in the Monroe Commercial Historic District, right next to the item that we first talked about this evening. This is for signage at 134 South Broad Street. There was previously a photography studio here, and the applicant is bringing his media business, I think? Okay, yep. And these are the signs he is requesting. I wasn't sure if it was this one as well? No, okay, so it's going to be the paw print here and some signage here.
What color is that palm print?
It's a red.
Okay, thank you.
Not Clemson.
I was afraid it was Clemson, it was so orange.
No, never, no.
We were gonna vote no if it was Clemson, all right?
That's right.
ma'am.
Kidding.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about it, or do you have
Yeah,
anything to add?
so we're a marketing agency, so we're going to be doing everything from video production, photography to website development. There's not going to be a lot of foot traffic in and out, you know? But yeah, so we just like some signage on the door.
Okay.
And where is this?
Next to the three.
Yeah, great place to open a video production studio next to full demolition.
You aren't gonna paint the building or do any?
No, ma'am,
Just signage?
just signage, yes, ma'am.
It was a photography place for a little bit.
It was.
I have one question. So those are two doors?
Yes.
Okay.
And the door that the paw, like, that's not in use
Okay.
at all.
So I believe you said the paw is going to go on
On
the
the left
left
door.
side?
Correct.
Yeah, so this is the door that the public uses, the one that doesn't have the step.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions from the panel? Any more questions? Do we have any questions from the audience? Okay, can I have a motion?
I make a motion. I move that we accept the proposal for signage as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Jane, did you speak?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Motion carries.
And last but not least, we will have an update on the Phase 2 historic survey that we've going on. For everyone's clarity, we have Phase 2 and Phase 3 happening at the same time right now, but they are simply presenting on Phase 2 tonight. And I will let them take it away. And they should be loading up your presentation if you.
Okay, awesome.
I learned last time that I'm supposed to speak in the microphone, so I will try to do my best. I'm Anders Jant. I'm from WLA Studio. This is my colleague Megan. We're both architectural historians and historic preservation specialists. We've been working on Monroe for a couple years now. We've worked on Phase 1, we're on Phase 2 and Phase 3 right now. So I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about what the resource survey process looks like and also kind of what we've found so far. I know some of y'all were probably here for our last presentation, so I'll try not to bore you with the nitty-gritty parts of it, but I'll just give you a kind of a breeze through. So just a little bit about what a historic resource survey is. It's a process to systematically identify, research, and document historic properties. And then you kind of take those findings and you identify important themes within a city's growth and developmental history, such as architecture, planning, social history, politics, industry, all sorts of things. Industry, I know in Monroe played a big part. You have a lot of mill villages and things like that. So we look at those historical themes. So basically we just collect and record this information, and then we provide brief descriptions and sort of talk about what materials are still extant, what has changed, and then we photograph each of these. So the things that we survey buildings, structures, objects, landscapes, natural features, and historic districts. So in the case of Monroe, we surveyed a couple water towers and then a couple cemeteries. So just some examples of things that are not just houses and buildings. So what you can do with these findings, you can use them to update your community planning initiatives. You can use them for zoning decisions and plan approval. You can also use them to promote cultural tourism and historic tourism. And then you can also use them for potential designations in the future for new districts or new individual listings you might want to pursue as a city. So the benefits of the survey, we kind of just went over that. It's also helpful for property owners to kind of have a baseline of the historic status of their home, the building typology, the architectural style, those sorts of things. Can a property owner opt out? No. So property owners cannot opt out, but we do only survey from the public right-of-way. So we do not go onto private property. And if we cannot see a resource from the roadway, we will not survey it. And then do surveyed resources automatically become designated? The answer is no. So that is a separate process that individuals or the city would need to pursue on their own. So if that puts anyone at ease about not wanting to be surveyed, it doesn't affect your property. It's just a picture. So there's just a little overview of the process. So we start with survey prep. That's kind of where we start doing research. We look at historic aerials, Sanborn maps, tax assessor records, those sorts of things to kind of get a baseline of what we're looking at. And then we go out into the field and we kind of confirm those findings. Sometimes, we might look at the Sanborn maps and the tax assessor records and they don't agree. So we kind of negotiate those findings. And then we do data entry. So we enter everything into an online database. And then we take those findings and we kind of try to identify larger developmental themes in a city's history. And then we put all of that into a report. And then y'all get the report and HPD gets the report and there's a review process. And we go back and forth with edits and then the process is finished. So this is just a breakdown of our documentation process. We typically get 3 pictures of each resource. Ideally, we get 2 obliques and then a front facade. Sometimes we'll take detail shots of, notable architectural features or landscape features. So it really depends on the resource. So this is just an example of the kind of things that we're looking at. This is taken from all of these pictures are actually from Monroe. But these are the kind of features that we're trying to identify. Does it have its original porch brackets, transom lights, side lights? Does it have its original siding, window, those sorts of things? What is still extant and what has changed over time? Here's another example. This is a 2-door saddlebag. Y'all have a bunch of these around the old historic mills, and they're so cool. But the central brick chimney, a lot of them have lost those over time, So it's, when you see one, you want to point it out and record that it still has it. So that's just kind of a breakdown of what we're looking for in the field. This is NARGIS, which is a bit of a mouthful. It is Georgia's Natural, Archaeological, and Historic Resource Geographic Information System. Essentially, it's just an online database. So we're collecting coordinates for each resource and then putting all of that information into the database associated with those coordinates. So it's very easy for cities to go online and look at what they have. It sort of creates a repository. It can be very helpful. And this is just a spreadsheet of what that data looks like. It's not the most exciting to look at, but it is informative. And then this is just a breakdown of what's included in our survey report. So it's just essentially the table of contents, breaking it down. Okay, so now to talk about what we've actually found in our phase 2 survey. So what we found is it's primarily mid-20th century residential development. There is a mixture of some more traditional late 19th and early 20th centuries, like your Queen Anne cottages and your bungalows and things like that. But a lot of it, a vast majority of it, is mid-century resources like ranch houses and American small houses, split levels, split foyers, those types of things. And in the past survey, I think the 1987 survey, those wouldn't have been considered historic at the time, so they didn't get surveyed and they didn't get considered for preservation because they weren't 50 years old at that point. So this is really a great opportunity to kind of reconsider those resources as historic and see if you want to pursue individual listings for some or district listings. So just an example here, this is Glen Iris Drive and Bryant Road, I believe. Is there a pointer? Okay. So you can see here in 1955, this is Glen Iris Road. There's some residential development happening, and these are primarily American small houses, which we'll talk a little bit more about. And then here in 1962, you can see it's a lot more dense on Glen Iris, and then you start to have this on Bryant Road too, and those are primarily ranch houses. And then by 1981, you can see it's kind of all the trees have grown in and things like that. Here's another example of mid-century subdivision. So this is off of East Church Road. This is the Young Heights subdivision. So you can see in 1955, this is all rural, agricultural, and then by 1962, they had started kind of plotting it out, and then by 1981, you've got a full-fledged subdivision there. And this subdivision is primarily ranches, split levels, and then mid-century 2 stories. So a little breakdown about the American small house, which you'll have a bunch of. They're one of my favorite house types. So they were really a byproduct of the New Deal era. During the Great Depression, they were trying to promote affordable, efficient housing, and the FHA came up with some design guidelines to help developers. And then a lot of veterans after the war used GI Bill incentives and bought these as starter homes. So they really started appearing in the late 1930s and remained popular through the 50s. They tend to have like a very standard floor plan, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So a lot of them have had additions over time, which is fine, that's just what happens. You'll also see them referred to as minimal traditional houses or FHA houses. So here's an example from a house plan book published in Ohio, and then here are 2 examples in Monroe. So you can see kind of how ubiquitous these house types became and how standard they were. This is one of my favorite parts, looking at the old house plans and seeing what you can see that's still there. It's super neat. And then ranch houses. So ranch houses came from California. They first started there in like the 1930s. It was sort of a combination of different influences. And by the 1950s, they had spread nationwide. It took 20 years and they became completely ubiquitous. And you see them as infill in historic neighborhoods, and then you also see them in large-scale subdivisions, which cater to the more car-centric lifestyle by that point. Remained popular through the 1970s. And like the American small houses, a lot of veterans used the GI Bill, and they were popular family homes. So here's another example. This is a plan book from Tennessee, and then 2 examples from Monroe, so you can just kind of see how similar they are. Typically 3 to 4 bedrooms, a central hallway corridor, and then the living room and the kitchen towards the front of the house. And some other neat things we found. Oh, and just a quick note on the mid-century residential resources. That was 75% of all resources we surveyed in the Phase 2 survey area were mid-century residential resources. So that is the vast majority of things we surveyed in this area. But some other neat things we found, the James Monroe Homes, which was an early public housing development in Monroe, was designed by the architects Abreu and Robeson out of Atlanta. And we asked on another project, there's the Washington Carver Homes in East Point, Atlanta that they designed, and we recently got it listed on the National Register. So I'm a little bit familiar with their work, and it's very similar. So it was really neat to see that. And then also a Googie-style gas station and auto garage. And Googie architecture is really rare, and it didn't get preserved very well. And the Varsity in Athens recently, we're going to lose that. That was a Googie-style building. So I was really excited to see this little Googie gas station on East Spring Street. Yeah.
Where is this?
That's on East Washington Street.
East Washington?
By the National Guard.
Yes, by the Armory.
Oh,
I had a fun time figuring out what that building was.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, and you know, the public housing developments you'll have in town are a unique opportunity for preservation as well. A lot of them are in really great condition and haven't undergone a lot of change. So that's another thing to consider too as districts. So that was it.
I'm sorry, the gas is called a googie?
Yeah, it's a silly word. You can hear it
No,
pronounced
I
different
like it.
ways. Some people say googie, some people say, I've heard goji, but I've always said googie. But yeah, so it was like sort of like space age, lots of like parabolic features, neon lights, that sort of thing. Lots of like big upswept roof lines and stuff. It's very fun. But people thought it was tacky, so they didn't really preserve it that well. So just feel free to give us your input. Let us know about things that we need to see, any information, historic resources we need to look at, and just let people know we're out there. People have a lot of questions when we're taking pictures of their houses, which is reasonable. I don't blame them. So, you know, and y'all have done a great job letting people know. We really appreciate it. It gives us a huge peace of mind going out there. And then feel free to contact us anytime. So that was it. Yeah, thank y'all for having us. We've loved working in Monroe. It's been such a blast. We've really enjoyed it.
Did anyone have any questions? No? Did anyone out here have any questions? Okay.
What's the timeline on?
So Phase 2, we're submitting draft 1 of the report in March, on March 15th. Phase 1 is finished. I think the Phase 3 50% deadline, the 25% deadline was in January, and then I think the 50% deadline's in May. I could be wrong about that. But the Phase 2, we'll start editing the report after March.
So as you're going along, do you document each structure, whether it's historical or not? Like
Not
non-applying?
necessarily. We don't always document infill. We do tend to over-document just because it saves us return trips. But yeah, we try, that's part of the pre-survey
I mean,
process.
I was looking at the first one that you did, and I noticed there were a lot of NAs, you know, that looked like on Church Street and places that you had documented, which I was impressed.
Oh, anything that was built before 1983, we're gonna document. Yeah, even if it doesn't have historic integrity, even, you
Right.
know, we'll take a picture of it and put it in ARGIS. So
That's great.
it is a complete survey, yeah.
The database that you spoke about, is that open to the public?
I believe so, but the survey data isn't available until the survey is published. But that should be done as soon as like the survey report is finalized. So once it's complete, it should be accessible to the public, yeah. And I think working for a city, you might be able to get access through HPD to an unpublished survey as well. So, any other questions?
It's exciting.
Yeah, we've loved it when we get scoops on our,
Can't wait
when
to-
it's a hot
till we
day.
do something with it. That's what I'm anxious, is for us to get it and be able to do something with it.
Well, that's our big hope too, is that these are helpful, productive
Right.
documents and kind of give you a good idea of where you have room for districts and things like that.
Right, because we have some areas that are historic,
Yeah.
that they're going in and ruining because
Yeah,
we don't have any say-so with those areas.
yeah.
And it's frightening.
Well, in 2 years, we should have everything surveyed.
Hope it's not too late on my street because it's moving fast.
Thank you so much. We
Thank you all
appreciate
so
your
much. We
time.
really appreciate it.
Laura, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I think we're done.
Okay. So next, we're going to ask for a motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This concludes the HPC meeting of January 23rd, 2024. We are adjourned. Thank you.